Welcome to the Popcorn Junkies.
Hooray!
I'm Diane Adderley.
I'm Diane. Shut up.
I'm Diane Adderley.
She was like, I'm Diane.
And I'm Diane. It's so odd hearing your full name, isn't it?
It is.
It's almost like your name is too long for your height.
Don't be ridiculous. Get to the film.
Okay, we're reviewing The Good Liar, which is an American thriller.
American?
American finance.
Okay.
Set in Britain, starring Britons. So essentially a British film. One of those curious films where the finance comes from America, but all the talent, probably on screen and off, is British.
Yeah.
Directed by Bill Condon, who, not Condon.
Condon, yeah.
Bill Condon, who did films like Of Gods and Monsters, where I believe he worked with Ian McKellen before.
Yeah.
He did Disney's Beauty and the Beast, which is one of the highest grossing films of all time, believe it or not.
Oh.
He directed a couple of the Twilight series, and he also directed the follow-up to the movie Candyman. So he's made quite a lot of varied films.
Yeah.
So he's quite a capable pair of hands. It stars Ian McKellen and Helen Mirren. Now, of course, we all know and love Ian McKellen. It's almost like...
He's a national treasure.
He's a national treasure, as is Helen Mirren.
Not quite so much.
Well, she is. I mean,
She always kept herself a bit aloof from that tradition of...
But partly by taking her clothes off in virtually every single film she was ever in.
Yeah.
And she's quite a frisky mare, isn't she? In her own way. She's always banging on about being young and all this kind of stuff.
I refuse to entertain that word, but...
Well, you can hear off camera, poor Maddie is extraordinarily unwell. So
Yes.
I'm afraid if you hear coughing, I do apologise for anyone listening
We're
to the
not
podcast.
Yeah.
But she's ill, so you have to suck it and see, because we're a family, and that's it, and family life carries on. So The Good Liar, why did you choose to go and see this film?
Oh, that's a very good
Yeah,
question.
what drew you in?
I quite like sort of old-fashioned mystery type things.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I'd seen the
I
trailer.
thought the trailer looked
And
quite good.
the trailer showed all the best bits, and which were good.
Yeah, what were the best bits?
Well,
no, I tell you
showed
what,
me enough to make me want
Yes,
to go and see
yeah.
what happens next.
And I was intrigued. In fact, you're right, it was the trailer that kind of hooked me in, because I thought I was intrigued by how tightly edited it was.
Yeah.
And how it felt like we were going to see two of our most famous and highly regarded actors,
Yeah.
perhaps in a sort of interesting, we were going to see them sort of working around each other and sort of showing off.
One getting the better of the
One
other.
getting
or
the
not,
better of the
blah,
other
blah,
and all
blah,
that kind of
blah.
malarkey,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's a certificate 15.
Yeah.
And I've never seen as long a list of explanations as to why it was a 15.
No.
What were they?
Well, everything conceivable that you can think of, very strong language, which usually means the C word, I hate to say.
Strong sexual...
Nudity,
Yeah.
strong sex scenes,
Yeah.
violence.
Yeah.
This is all with two people who are
Yeah.
nudging 80 as
Yes.
the main characters.
Yeah, I think Ian McKellen's 80 and Helen Mirren's 74, isn't she?
Yes, you start to think, oh my God, how can all that be in a
No,
film?
absolutely. Yeah, combined age of 154. So it's a thriller, and a lot of people are talking about this in the same breath as saying it's very Hitchcockian.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, I
very
would say that's fair,
twisty-turny.
isn't it?
A
Yeah.
lot of people are comparing it unfavourably, actually, to Ryan Johnson's soon-to-be released Knives Out, which we actually saw, but we haven't actually reviewed yet. And it's a kind of, it's not a whodunit, but it's a twisty-turny, thrillery, con man orientated yarn, which makes no. I mean, this is a spoiler review, but this is no spoiler because I think the trailer tells you as much, as does Ian McKellen in every interview he's done. He's clearly a bad egg.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although what I liked actually, and I think they maybe made a mistake in their press push for this film. I think if they'd held back on the fact that he was a bad egg in the trailer and in all the press, they might have got more people through the door, because what I really liked about this film was the opening 3 minutes. The opening of the film was a really sophisticated sequence between the two protagonists, Helen and Ian McKellen, emailing each other and setting up their accounts on the dating thing. Yeah. And what I liked about that was I liked the way it was shot, and I liked the way in which you couldn't really work out who was writing what about who.
No, exactly.
And I thought at that point, oh, crikey, we're going to have this is going to be an unusually stylistic romp.
Yeah, and they were wrong-footing each other in that as well.
Yeah.
One was saying romantic love, one was saying...
Yeah, one was saying a smoker, and one of them was smoking, and you didn't know who.
She was drinking.
And I thought that was clever, and I thought, in that sense...
Very economical with the... Yeah.
Exactly, very economic.
I mean, clearly the idea of two people meeting after, just to see if they get on and whatever, it's all good, that.
Online dating.
Online dating, yeah. It went at a fairly good pace, I thought, as well, because they've only just met, and then the next thing you know is that they're sort of hooking up a bit stronger because he gets something wrong with him, and although we're all the time worried that maybe he's not what he says he is, and that is verbalised by her grandson, not trustworthy. She is totally, I thought she was amazing, Helen Mirren. She played it absolutely straight. I believed every word of her. She played it exactly as a woman of her age would play it.
I must admit, I think you're absolutely right. I kind of relaxed into this a bit more once I realised we were getting quite a genuine performance, I thought, from Helen Mirren.
Yeah.
Because I think sometimes we get the quite sort of grandstandy sort of dame of British cinema or whatever it is we think she is.
Entirely.
Do you? Yeah. And I felt we got a very real performance from her.
Yeah.
A performance I haven't actually seen from her in a very long time.
No.
Right, really the first time we see her is at the table when they meet in the restaurant.
Yeah.
And I like that. So I kind of relax. It's that funny thing, isn't it? That you relax a bit as soon as... I relaxed with her. It is difficult for Ian McKellen because he carries Gandalf's staff with him even when he doesn't have Gandalf's staff, doesn't he?
He so does.
Doesn't he? I mean, his great big face. I mean, it's almost... I don't know how one sort of escapes that. I mean, I found him agreeable, though.
I found him agreeable, and quite often, not his fault, as you say, I'm not quite sure why, but I often don't. I find him over-egging the pudding all the time. Right. Maybe doing the Gandalf walk instead of doing what he's supposed to do. But not so bad in this, but I felt he was being almost kept at a distance and acting... I felt they were acting each other... off the screen in a way. They both served each other very well.
Well, I've seen Helen Mirren in interviews saying we don't want people to see this. She's worried that people will think they've just had a laugh with this. They've just had fun with the parts.
Oh, okay.
And in a weird way, I think I did like Helen Mirren to begin with, but as the film moved along, I felt it did become a little bit of a competition between the two of them.
Yeah.
And that's partly helped by the fact that the script and the plot kind of takes you there.
Yeah.
But Helen Mirren, strangely, in the face of him, began to, across the course of the film, move towards the thing I've got used to from Helen Mirren.
Yeah.
So she started really authentically.
Yeah.
One of the big weaknesses in this, I think, didn't work at all was Russell Tovey's character, her grandson, or supposed grandson.
I agree with that entirely, and yet I really like Russell.
I like him. It was too obvious a sort of third party looking in on the situation, and he was too obviously functioning as the audience's doubt. Yeah. The articulation of our doubt about him.
And it's not that I think he's a bad actor. Usually I think he's a very good actor, but I entirely agree there was something wrong with the way his part was written.
Well, and that kind of brings me to what my major problem with the film was. I think as the film moved along, I thought it was a film in which the plot became increasingly ridiculous for us to suspend belief. Not in how ridiculous the story was, but how ridiculously I felt the scriptwriter was expecting us to buy into stuff. Yeah. Did you?
Yes, I think it went from a thing of thinking or trying to be a plain common
man.
Yeah, or sort of like a Patricia Highsmith novel, or where people are sort of scoring off each other, to this other world completely, where we were supposed to buy into
the whole
Nazi Germany, the war, the this, that, and the other. Was he a member? I mean,
it got so
convoluted.
It got confused by itself. I thought that
it did.
I mean, I thought it was at its richest when you had the Jim Carter character.
I love Jim.
Yeah, I think he's lovely, and
I thought they used him exactly right.
Yeah, they did,
well.
and he pitched it just right. But I liked that triangular sort of relationship where they were trying to con her, trying to sort of encourage her in, and you felt them sparring with each other. And I just think the film needed to keep it simple and keep it to sort of a con, rather than then. I mean, there were moments where we were cutting back almost to Weimar Germany.
We were with new actors as young people, and the whole thing hinged on a very violent act set in the past, which we hadn't even met the people at that point.
No.
So to care about them, did we care less? No, we didn't.
So suddenly, spoiler, the whole film was given a Germanic underpinning to all of our key characters, weren't we?
But also, let me just say that don't forget that, which I thought was sort of a bit misguided, but not as misguided as the German bit, was I didn't actually buy all the scenes where they were changing the room and getting the people into the room and doing the whole moving money. I mean, I have a problem with figures, as Mark knows. So every time they said 10,000 to 100,000,
you didn't know what it was.
I didn't know what they were talking about. But you could tell it was a lot of money, and it was a lot of trouble.
Yes.
And I didn't quite buy that he would be somehow. He didn't convince. Conning old ladies out of money, one thing, but not these people.
No, exactly. And I think where this film was at its strongest was when they were just trying to con Helen Mirren.
Yeah, they should have kept it at that.
They should have kept it at that. When they were trying to con the Russians, and then it was a double-cross con.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, it was nifty. It was nifty when you. There were a couple of moments where you go, oh, okay, well that was kind of smart.
Yeah.
But actually, there was nothing believable.
No.
I mean, Ian McKellen used the phrase at one point about the Russian guy he had standing in. It wasn't verisimilitudinous.
No.
I hate to use that word, but do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't ring true, and I didn't believe their con with their strange calculators, and I don't think anyone would have bought into those strange calculators.
No, I think if one's going to enjoy the film at all, you have to put the calculator somewhere else, because it was patently ridiculous.
It was, wasn't it?
It was so old-fashioned.
I also felt that they could have had more twisty-turny fun.
Yeah.
With Helen Mirren wanting to call him out on some of the things he was saying. So
Yeah.
I felt that Ian McKellen's character was let off the hook too quickly, too often by Russell Tovey and Helen Mirren. Let's go here. Oh no, I'm thinking I won't. Oh, okay, then we won't. No. Let's push this. Let's. We really want to see if you're going to see your son and all this kind of stuff. And so, if I'm honest, the idea that you could compare this to Hitchcock is a gross insult. To Hitchcock, I think.
By far the most successful bits are the bits where the two are coming off each other. And whenever we went into the other flights of fancy, it was sort of with a sinking heart in a way, especially the German bits.
Yes.
So
them walking into the house, even.
I mean, what was all that about? Even Russell Tovey speaking German at one point, and him going, "Are we German or aren't we German?"
But then the flashback to the guy Taub shooting someone in the flat, and I mean, and then he looked so like his brother. He thought, I mean, it was a ludicrous stretch. It was a ludicrous stretch. But there is the most unusual scene, which I was looking at with a microscopic attention, which was a genuine fight in the stairwell of the bungalow between Ian McKellen and Helen Mirren. And I was looking at those shots. It looked like they were actually fighting.
Yeah, maybe they said to each other, "Let's go for it." I've always hated you.
Yeah, they're the kind of pair that I could imagine Ian McKellen saying, "Oh, sod it, love, let's just do it."
Yeah, let's just.
And I can imagine Helen Mirren going, "Well, I can't take my clothes off in this film. Let's have a fight."
Yeah.
No, so I was kind of quite shocked and surprised by how physical they both were.
Yeah.
And I mean, to that extent, I mean, I think Ian McKellen it's difficult for Ian McKellen. I think whenever you look at his face, it's such a fascinating face.
Yeah.
But you kind of attach to it the most sort of emblematic part that he's played, which is Gandalf, and then you can't really escape it. So let's sum up. So in sum up and scoring it, what do we think? Was this a success? Was this worth it? Was this the best choice at the cinema this week?
Oh, gosh.
Would you recommend people to go and see it?
Well, it was diverting, and if you can just stick to the two main characters, I would say yes.
Yeah.
Don't get involved with the German bits, the Russian bits, and definitely not the calculator bits, because that was basically
that's about 60% of the film.
I know, and also the last scene, which I thought was dreadful. I know people never know how to finish films, but the fact that it took you back to Helen Mirren in her real life.
Oh God!
I mean, whoa.
Well, I tell you where it should have ended. I thought it was a very depressing shot of Ian McKellen in hospital.
Yeah.
I thought that should have been their last shot. That was deeply traumatising, I thought, actually, as a potential end shot. That would have been like, oh.
Or as the bungalow as a sort of empty shell. I mean, there were other
opportunities rather than...
than her going down the garden and I mean, that was...
And let me just interject. For the 15 certificate, I also found the scene where Ian McKellen became suddenly so expletive that he used the C word repeatedly in one session. I think that the strict definitions of what makes a 15 certificate is that if you use the C word, they have to be used in close proximity to each other within one scene.
That's interesting,
to prevent it getting a higher certificate. It felt like a bit of a cynical move to sort of make him more malevolent,
more horrible than we've actually...
It got a sense of it was like, quickly, let's just chuck him in saying the C word a lot and being really horrible.
Yeah.
Just to really hammer home that he's horrible.
Exactly, I absolutely agree with that.
It was odd, wasn't it? Yeah, sorry, I interrupted your son.
Well, no, that's it, more or less. I'd have liked a bit more from Jim Carter. I love Jim Carter.
He was good. He was good.
And in the trailer, there's a bit where they have a speech. It was in the film where I think it's from Helen Mirren, and she's saying about all the things that have bothered her in her life. And somebody mentions the devil, and I was thinking, I've always wanted Jim Carter to play the devil.
Right, yeah,
he looks just like the devil.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, I felt a bit disappointed that he wasn't. But other than that,
what would you give it?
I would give it, oh God, what would I give it? 4.85.
Wow, 4.85. Do you hear that, girls? That's one of the strangest scores I've ever heard in my life.
It's got to be below a 5,
Well,
definitely.
that is 0.15.
No, I know that. I know that. I'm not that bad with figures.
Oh, right, you do know decimal points. Yeah. Okay, well, I'm having to sort of approach my sum up on this in two different ways, because although it wasn't my cup of tea, and although I felt there was an awful lot wrong with it, I do think, actually, I was thinking of people like Nanny Thelma, I was thinking of people like Betty, I was thinking of quite a few people who I think would get quite a lot from it.
Yeah.
Just simply because there are some lovely moments from Helen Mirren and there are some lovely moments from Ian McKellen.
Yeah.
Where this film for me was weakest, it was plot, story and storytelling. I just thought it got too convoluted, it thought it was cleverer than it was, and it needed to keep it much simpler and much smaller in range. We didn't need the whole German thing. I think it would have been much, much neater to have just kept it in suburbia in a weird way.
Exactly.
You know? So I could see a lot of people enjoying this, but it just really wasn't my cup of tea. I think your score's not a bad one, actually. I'd probably go slightly differently. I'd probably give it 4.79.
Actually, I think it would have been a better film if she'd have had far more to do than him in terms of being
do you know what
somebody we didn't know. I mean, he became the person that we didn't know what he was like, and he became a different person.
But do you know what I thought they were going to do? I know that this is a spoiler review, I'm just stressing this again.
Yeah.
But I know that there's a slight sort of switchback, isn't there, on him by her when she realises that he's malevolent.
Yes.
What I was hoping for, and I thought would have been infinitely cleverer, was that if the entire con had been about him.
Yes.
And her getting him.
I thought it was.
And I thought her and Jim Carter at that point. I did too. And I thought, well, if that's where they're going, that's kind of cartoony and comic, but it kind of would have in a weird way worked. It could have carried that way.
Yeah, so that what you've just said, absolutely, but also it would have meant giving her more screen time.
Yeah.
And in a sense, what I was getting fed up with towards the end, a bit bored with, was his screen time.
Did you feel it not? I also felt it kind of didn't quite know how comedic it was meant to be versus how serious.
No, exactly.
And when it got, I mean, in a weird way, the German stuff had to be serious. And it was serious.
Yes.
And then what he's done to her is really serious, and that tugged against a sort of
I've just
lightness.
remembered something else as well. Yeah. Don't forget the murder.
Right.
You know the murder I'm talking about on the Underground?
Oh, God.
I mean, we're talking about, that's where the violence and death came from in the thing. Now, that was incredibly...
I thought that was well handled, actually.
I thought it was incredibly well handled. At that point, I thought, oh, God, we're going to have some more of these.
Yeah, that was really well done and very believable, because you were thinking, how will an 80-year-old actually get someone? And did you see that was Baldini from Keeping Faith who got thrown under the train?
Yes.
Yeah, I was thinking, where the hell's Eve?
Bryn.
Yeah, Bryn was Baldini.
He
was a pain in the arse, wasn't he?
He was, but...
Yeah. No, I thought that was... I'm pleased you reminded me of that. That was a very well-executed scene. I thought the underground scene was well directed, actually.
And the whole thing where he's walking on the platform, which is in the trailer, so you get an idea.
Yeah, it was neatly done. Neatly done.
So you sort of think he's an old James Bond.
Yeah. I agree.
But then it sort of went downhill.
Totally. And I just wish Helen Mirren had the ultimate upper hand in a different way, not just in terms of like getting her own back. Yeah. There you go.
For more film and family fun, don't forget to click the subscribe button and make sure to click the bell to never miss an update.